What's up, everyone? Jason Gilbo here with Rob Mazika, taking a look at GPP bats for tonight's slate. Got a nice 9 games, some below average pitching on the slate, a lot of good ballparks to be hitting. So a lot of different ways you can go tonight.
Yeah, there are a lot of different ways you can go. Some weather to look out for. There might be some wind in Wrigley, maybe some rain in New York. We'll just have to wait and see on that. But there's no real stud pitcher other than Greinke going tonight that you really need to avoid bats against. And even him you could target against.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking. I think you can really kind of contrarian attack some of these pitchers as well. Like, I don't mind going with some Royals bats.
I don't either against Pineda. He gives up the long ball, and Yankee Stadium should help him out there too.
Yep. Looking at catcher here, speaking of that Royals-Yankees game, Salvador Perez coming off a monster doubleheader. Looking for him to continue that trend, just given the fact that Pineda does give up the long ball. That's continued this year. Has already allowed 7 home runs to right-handed bats. Perez super cheap on DraftKings, still 3,300. He's going to be popular, but it's excellent value.
It is, and he has a ton of upside, like we saw yesterday. He had 3 home runs in the day yesterday, and like you just said, Pineda, he does give up the long ball. That's the one place he struggles, and it's just a good place to ride him while he's hot. I'm looking towards the catchers in the Cubs and Giants game, Buster Posey and Wilson Contreras with the wind blowing out. I know they're both pretty expensive, but whenever we have a game in Wrigley with the wind blowing out and the Cubs are implied about 6 runs and the Giants a little over 4, so both these catchers are really in play, and both the pitchers going, they really don't stand out with elite stuff or anything.
No, Ty Blatch being the lefty, I like the righties in that game. I like Contreras quite a bit. If we're going elsewhere, I don't mind Wellington Castillo really starting to come around. You look at Kyle Gibson, small sample size this year, 4-weight woba to lefty or to righties. Gibson has not been a good pitcher in his career, so I like the Orioles bats, and I like Castillo again.
Yeah, definitely a good spot. I love stacking against Gibson and just playing anyone against him, so I'm perfectly fine with taking Castillo.
Anyone else behind the dish?
That's it for me.
First base, this is definitely going to be a spot where I like to pay up for. There's a lot of high upside, expensive guys. I like Joey Votto against Josh Tomlin. Josh Tomlin, he is reverse splits, but Votto is just an elite left-handed bat in that ballpark, and Tomlin's still home run prone against lefties anyway. So given that his numbers this year and how awful he's been, I'll be looking at quite a bit of Reds bats.
I agree with that call. Tomlin, he's been terrible this year. He has shown some flashes of life, but in this ballpark, I see them the Reds getting to him. Yet again, I'm looking at the first baseman over in that game in Wrigley with Rizzo and Bell both in a great spot. But to be a little contrarian, I like Josh Bell for the Pirates against Mike Foltynewicz. Folty, he struggles against lefties, and Josh Bell's a big power lefty in this Pirates lineup with a WOBA around 359 against righties, and he's got all the power on the left side of the plate, and the new park in Atlanta really plays lefty power as well.
Yeah, I like Josh Bell. He's really hitting the ball well. I'm excited to see him finally starting to come around. I mean, this month alone, over a 200 ISO. Bell's definitely a solid play. If I'm looking to be a little bit really contrarian, I like Kenneth Vargas. I kind of, the more I'm looking at these Twins lefties in that ballpark, I like quite a bit. Ubaldo 4-3 woba to lefties. So I mean, if I'm going kind of cheap and really contrarian, I think Vargas might be a guy that I use quite a bit of actually.
Yeah, it's a good ballpark too for hitters in general, so I don't mind taking Vargas. And the Twins are actually implied almost 5 runs tonight too, which is really high.
Yeah, so I mean, I think going that route, there might be some sneaky lefties. Goldschmidt, I mean, expensive, but I feel like this guy could have a monster game just because Miguel Gonzalez he was lucky at the beginning of the year, and now it's starting to really unfold.
Yeah, Goldie, he's probably the top player on your slate in general. If you can find a salary to fit him in, I'd go for it. It's just he's expensive.
Yeah, that's the only thing. So, anyone else?
That's it.
Second base, you and I mean, both Starlin Castro fans, hitting the ball well. His price is back down on DraftKings at 4,300. We saw Vargas slip up last time out against the Yankees. I think they're going to be popular just because of the recency bias, but it's definitely a good reason not to be.
Yeah, it is. I think Vargas might pitch a little bit better in this game than last time, but Castro, he's been crushing the ball lately. He was leading the league in average for a while too at one point, or on base percentage. He cooled down a little bit, but he's still right in the middle of this hot Yankees lineup, and they could put up runs in a hurry.
Yeah, they really can. I think you and I both on Jason Kipnis as well, starting to come around, leading off there against Feldman. Feldman hasn't been bad, but he's just a league average righty at best. And you look at Kipnis, I mean, definitely one of the better hitting second basemen once he gets going.
Yeah, he's definitely due for some positive regression. He had a 353 WOBA against righties last year, and he's somewhere in the 200s this year. So I expect him to turn it around. And in this spot against Feldman, it's a good spot for him to do it.
And Ian Happ, once again, second baseman, we were locked in. Ian Happ's the guy hitting fourth, as you mentioned, with that wind blowing out, still cheap, with the Cubs run total being at 6. I mean, Happ's going to be popular, but this is a guy that's just been hard to get away from.
Yeah, on FanDuel, he's going to be a lock and load play. In cash tournaments, he's going to be probably around 30% owned on this slate. So it's going to be a very high ownership play, but he's just a stud.
Yeah, and I think those are pretty much the only guys I was really considering.
I was considering Jose Altuve just because if I want to pay a position against Michael Fulmer. Fulmer does have a slight reverse split. He does. It's 341 WOBA against righties for him, and Altuve, he has most of his power against righties in this ballpark. So it's just a spot where you could get an upside game from him.
Yeah, definitely could. Third base, I mean, there are a lot of top candidates like Chris Bryant, Nolan Arenado, Jake Lamb. I feel like they're all expensive and all going to be popular options. Where do you kind of see that first pivot away from them?
Well, my pivot's a little contrarian. I like the Eduardo Nunez route. He's going to be really low owned. He's not going to hit you a home run or anything. But if he gets on base against John Lackey, he could steal 2 bases and score a run, and there's your home run right there.
Yeah, I mean, Nunez is a guy. This Giants offense is not projected high. I think actually a lot of people are going to be off of it, despite the win. So, I mean, I kind of like the Giants in their ownership play.
Yeah, and then another guy we were both looking towards is Eugenio Suarez for the Reds.
Yeah, I mean, crushing this month alone, near 400 WOBA, over 200 ISO. Josh Tomlin, he's reverse splits 408 WOBA to right-handers this year, home run prone. I think Suarez is going to be – usually people like to target him just solely against lefties, but I'm looking at him against Tomlin at a reasonable price.
Yeah, he's up in top 5 in the league in WAR right now too, so he's just a really good player.
Yep. I think if you want to maybe look to be a little bit different too is Miguel Sano. The guy's been completely locked in. Once again, I think on these slates when it just features Chris Bryant against lefties and Jake Lamb against bad righties, you can get Sano at a reasonable ownership.
Oh, definitely. Jake Lamb's going to probably get about 20%, Bryant about 30% on FanDuel. That's half your ownership right there to be spread out between about 15 other third basemen. And Sano, he's going to come in under 10% no matter where you play him. And against Ubaldo Jimenez in a park that's really good for righties, Sano, it's definitely a great spot for him.
Yep. There was no cheap guy that I noticed at third base that really stood out.
No, Nunez is probably the cheapest I'm going.
Yep. Shortstop, this is one pretty ugly position. I mean, I'm definitely going to kind of want to wait till lineups come out to see what I can get. You and I, Freddie Galvis was a possibility if he hits second in the lineup. Has been hitting pretty well. Going up against Hoffman, decent right-hander, but inexperienced as well. And Phillies have a decent run total target.
They do 4.5 runs. Freddie Galvis, very cheap at the top of the order, especially on FanDuel. He's 2,900, 3,400 on DraftKings. His numbers aren't the best. He's got around 330 WOBA against righties, but on a slate like tonight, it's definitely best to pay down at shortstop, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the mid-range is where we're going to be looking. I mean, Brandon Crawford, up and down shortstop, but kind of continuing that Giants trend against Lackey. I don't mind him, especially DK. I mean, 3,300 is a nice punt price for him.
It is, but we got the shortstop on the other side of the game, Addison Russell. He's going to be probably the chalk of the night. I think everyone's just going to lock and load him. So a way to get off him is maybe to pay up a little and go Francisco Lindor against Scott Feldman. It's just a great park for him, and Lindor, he's an on-base machine. He's safe for cash, has some upside for tournaments as well.
Yeah, I don't mind him. I think it's going to – Javier Baez got shortstop eligibility on DK. I mean, I wouldn't mind giving him a look. I think he might cut into Russell's ownership maybe just a little bit.
Yeah, on DraftKings for sure. But FanDuel, where he's second base eligible, I think people are just going to – actually, no, he'll be lower owned because of Ian Happ. So it's definitely not a bad pivot either.
Yeah. Looking at outfield, a lot of different ways you can go here tonight. Eichhoff, haven't really been a fan targeting so far, but you can definitely look at the lefty there. And Charlie Blackmon, you look at Eichhoff, has struggled against lefties in his career. Blackmon definitely one of the guys I don't mind just targeting on the road or wherever he is. He's just a solid all-around hitter.
I agree 100%. He's good in cores, good out of cores. He's probably the best lefty on this team right now. He has stolen base upside. Double, triple, home run upside. It's a good park for hitting, so it's just a great spot for him.
Yep. As far as other high price guys go, I mean, who are you looking at?
I'm not really looking too much at the high end. Maybe JD Martinez in tournaments just because Brad Peacock, we don't have much of a sample on him. He hasn't had a lot of starts in his career. But JD Martinez, he's been on fire lately. He's been trying to make up for all those home runs that he missed when he was sitting out. So it's just a great spot for him in that ballpark, and he does have 2 home run upside.
Yeah, I like Martinez. I think, if I'm paying up, it's definitely him and Blackman. And coming down the road, I mean, I don't mind the Orioles outfielders, specifically Adam Jones and Seth Smith, both on the cheaper side. Smith leading off with a run total near 5.5. Jones only 4.2 on DK. With Gibson, I mean, Gibson's just a straight fastball thrower, and that's kind of the guys I like to target these Baltimore bats against, the guys who don't throw a lot of off-speed stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely a good spot to stack against Kyle Gibson. So all these outfielders are in play. I actually won a qualifier stack against Kyle Gibson last year, so that's a soft spot in my heart right there. But if I'm going cheap, I'm looking at a guy. Well, there's David Peralta, obviously, who's going to be chalk of the chalk, but I like Adam Frazier for the Pirates against Mike Foltynewicz, another one of those lefties going against Folty, who struggles against them. He's going to be hitting leadoff. He has stolen base upside. He has a little bit of power. He's not expensive, and the ballpark is in a good spot for him as well.
Yep, no, I'm definitely with you. I'll be using quite a bit of him. Another Twins lefty. He's been struggling a little bit this year, but Max Kepler does have some power against right-handed pitching in that ballpark. Like I said, against Jimenez, who's allowed 8 home runs to lefties already this year, 40% hard contact rate. If Kepler's hitting around 4 or 5 there, I think the Twins lefties might be actually a sneaky stack.
Yeah, definitely. You got Kepler and Eddie Rosario, who's really good against righties as well. So those Twins lefties, with the exception of Joe Mauer, is definitely in play today. And then one other lefty bat who we were both on agreement on that Reds team, Scott Schebler, has 2 home runs in his last 2 games against Josh Tomlin. We keep harping on this matchup, but it's just a great spot for him.
Yeah, I mean, Schebler, over 250 ISO this month. As you said, 5 ribbies, 2 homers the last couple of games. I definitely don't mind him. I mean, cheap, a lot of power in that ballpark, and I think people are going to be off the Reds.
I think so too, especially coming in as an underdog with a 4.3 run total, which is one of actually the lowest on the board today, surprisingly, in this matchup. So you could definitely get the Reds at lower ownership.
Yeah, I think so, and definitely keep an eye on what lineups come out to do. We didn't talk about a ton of cheap guys, but if you get some guys in Arizona's been throwing a couple cheap guys like Blanco and Fuentes in if you need a punt.
Yeah, if you need a punt, those are definitely some decent guys to look towards. Even maybe we can get like an Albert Almora playing in that Cubs game tonight or something like that. You could if you could find someone cheap hitting towards the top of the lineup, or even like Matt Adams on the Braves. He's a new acquire for them, but it's going to be really tough to find value on this slate as of right now. It's early in the day. We don't have lineups yet, but as they come out, we might be able to find some more.
Yeah, I don't mean like a Tyler Collins either or something. Decent power from the right side or left side. So let's wrap things up here. You can head over to DaveFantasyCafe.com, check out our great tools and content.
Good luck, everyone.